Your body belongs to you. Your mind also belongs to you. Your body is your instrument of action. Your mind is your instrument of thought and intellect. If you are the owner of this body and the mind, who are you? Are you different from the mind and the body? Self knowledge. A study of the early philosophical and religious writings of the Hindus indicates that the Indians who lived in the ancient times in the river valleys of Indus and Ganges were keen and thoughtful observers of both the outer and the inner world. One of the things that greatly impressed them was the changeability of everything in nature: oceans, mountains, rivers, trees, plants, herbs, birds, animals, insects, the sun, the moon, the stars. In short, all animate and inanimate objects are subject to the law of change. And this is equally true of the states of the mind. Happiness is followed by suffering, joy by sorrow, serenity by restlessness, courage by fear, exaltation by depression. Of every experience, both subjective and objective, it may be truly said, even this shall pass away. And so, a question was naturally raised: is change itself the ultimate reality? Or is there an unchanging essence, the ground of all change? Like change, suffering too was observed to be a universal phenomenon. No one escapes its cruel jaws. Rich and poor, high and low, old and young, all embodied beings suffer. Asked by a king about the meaning of life, a sage once replied, "A man is born, he suffers, and he dies." Sorrow indeed is the price of our birth on earth. It afflicts a man's body or his mind. It may be caused by other human beings, by the denizens of the animal world, or by such uncontrollable cosmic phenomenon as rain and drought, heat and cold, earthquake and storm. 2500 years ago, a great Indian seer, Buddha, the Enlightened One, declared that if all the tears that had flowed from the human eyes since the beginning of creation were gathered together, they would exceed the waters of the ocean. The Four Noble Truths which he discovered and announced as the basis of his religion are all related to suffering, its existence, the cause of its existence, its cessation, and the way leading to its cessation. Any glimpse of happiness that may seem to brighten our days on earth are both fugitive and deceptive. Every enjoyment is marred by a haunting fear. The rich are afraid of thieves, the beautiful of deformity, the aristocrats of dishonor. Yet man somehow forgets this truth in the rhapsody of his fear haunted and momentary happiness. If all our joy on earth is momentary and illusory, what is the basis of this illusion? Can there be an illusion without a background or substratum? And how may one put an end to the suffering and attain peace? Or is there any peace? The ubiquitous presence of death stirred the thoughts of the ancient Indians. Does death mean the complete annihilation of a man? Or is there something within him that survives the destruction of this body? And if death puts an end to the whole man, then why is he born at all? What purpose does one serve on earth if the flame of life is snuffed out at a tender age? What is the meaning of death, and how is it related to life? Is there a way to overcome it? The early Indians had an insatiable appetite for knowledge. Nothing short of omniscience would satisfy them. One reads in the Vedas of a disciple who asked his teacher, "What is it, revered sir, by knowing of which everything in the universe can be known?" Like the Greek philosophers, the Indians first hoped to win knowledge by the analysis of the external nature. Extraordinarily detailed and poetical descriptions of objects of nature appear in the ancient Vedic literature. But after a time, the futility of such an effort to gain omniscience became apparent. One cannot adequately know an infinitesimal part of earth through the study even of a whole lifetime. And there spread before our vision the sun, the moon, and the countless stars. However, a clue was found to the solution of the mystery of knowledge. The Indian philosophers observed that by knowing the nature of clay, one knows the nature of everything made of clay. By knowing the nature of iron or gold, one knows the nature of everything made of iron or gold. Is there not likewise something that is the basic material of the universe, by knowing of which everything in the universe will be known? The search for the great cause is linked with the search into the nature of man himself. Is man only a physical being, or has he a spiritual basis? The study of man opened before the Indians a new vista. How does the mind work? Is the power to think inherent in the mind itself, or does another extraneous power impel it to think? What has set into motion the prana, that power of breathing, circulation, digestion, motion, and the coordination of these which make a man? The ancient Indians wondered whether there was a first principle, or was there an ultimate reality underlying the outside world, and also whether there was such a thing underlying man himself. It was apparent that the questions that agitated the Indians living on the banks of Ganges and Indus could be adequately answered only by a true knowledge of man, the universe, and the ultimate reality. These then formed the subject matter of the philosophical systems. For centuries they discussed these problems in conferences and assemblies, in royal courts and sylvan retreats, around the sacred fires of householders and in hermitages of monks. They tried to work out answers through the most rigorous reasoning. They sought light in the depths of meditation. Some, inquiring about the first cause and the ultimate explanation of things in the outside world, thought that the gods, the different personified forms of universal consciousness, held the key to knowledge and happiness. And so they worshipped with elaborate rituals the sun, the moon, the sky, and sought to propitiate them. But one question remained unanswered. Who created the Creator? It is said in one of the Vedic hymns of Rig Veda concerning creation and its cause. But after all, who knows and who can say whence it all came and how creation happened? The gods themselves are later than creation, so who knows truly whence it has arisen? Whence all creation had its origin, the Creator, whether He fashioned it or whether He did not. The Creator, who surveys it all from highest heaven, He knows, or maybe even He does not. So, it was clear to the ancient Indians that the problem of ultimate reality cannot be solved through study or devotion to anything in the visible world outside. Other seekers directed their attention to a different world, the inner world within man himself. They discovered that the realm of mind was infinitely more real, interesting, and deep than the realm of gross physical matter. There, after patient search, they at last discovered the clue to the truths relating to the self, the hereafter, man's destiny, and the ultimate reality. Your body belongs to you. Your mind also belongs to you. Your body is your instrument of action. Your mind is your instrument of thought and intellect. If you are the owner of this body and the mind, who are you? Are you different from the mind and the body? It is these questions that led to the search for the ultimate reality.